So again, let's hear from a customer who's taken advantage of this. Right now, let's hear from Medtronic.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're back with our second customer in this little field corner. I love this little dual stage thing going on, and I'm really honored to have another great brand here. Medtronic needs no introduction, an incredible brand in medical technology, and with me is Karine Simmer, Head of IT, Hosting Transformation and Modernization Program. Karine, it's great to have you.
Thank you, Sanjay.
I think you've got one of your props here, so tell us about this wonderful medical technology.
Yeah, so what we have here today is an MRI SureScan. It's just one of many of the medical devices that we have. And a little known fact that you may not know, last year 65 million people benefited from a Medtronic device. That's 1 every 2 seconds.
That's awesome. We feel so honored to be working with customers who are doing so much to help save people's lives. Maybe we can start there. Tell us a little bit about the business and IT transformation that Medtronic has been going through, because you're a phenomenal brand, but you've also been transforming the company.
Yeah, so our CEO, Omar, his vision has changed really from one of a medical device industry to one of services. And so very much this transformation around services and services brokering, looking at healthcare and the challenges that you have both economically and clinically. We've got a growing population, aging population of patients. In addition to that, we have chronic disease on the increase and regulatory requirements that create a number of challenges as well. And so it's requiring companies like Medtronic in the healthcare industry to really transform how they provide those services.
That's awesome. There's sort of a parallel of your moving device technology to services, to us trying to do product and services. I'd like to focus in a little bit on kind of the use of our products together. You've been one of the pioneers in driving the private cloud and then the movement to the public cloud with our cloud management products and also Cloud Foundation. How have you made the case for all the innovation you're doing in the private cloud, and where has that taken you?
So to be very candid, some of it was technical obsolescence with a private cloud, our existing platform, just being at a point where we needed to do something differently in order to continue growing the company, required additional flexibility, capacity, security, which is one that we all talk about, particularly as we talk about cloud platforms. And so that was a significant driver, and the growth of Medtronic and where Omar sees us going. So that was our investment in the private cloud. We have a global instance, 5 data centers, and should be going to production shortly here in about 2 weeks.
VMware Cloud Foundation working on top of Dell EMC, really good, state-of-the-art, lowering cost and complexity. You're also one of the early adopters looking at VMware Cloud and AWS. What do you see as promise? I know it's early days,
Yep.
but what do you see as the promise of where the public cloud could take you?
So right now we're very early days looking at what some of the opportunities are, and some of the use cases that we're looking at are archival, disaster recovery, burst capacity. You know, the one challenge, which I think many of you will recognize if you've done anything contractually around licensing, going from on-prem to cloud, that again is our more significant challenge, that's true for the cloud industry.
That's so true. And you've, again, just like our conversation with Jennifer, it's been a real partnership. You've pushed us in areas where we need to optimize our private cloud, you know, early days of public cloud. How has that partnership gone?
Good. It's like any relationship. You know, you're in for the long haul. There's good days, there's bad days. Sometimes separate vacations are good. Very good. And on that note, by the way, there's a big team of Medtronic and our account team here too, so I just want to say hello. I know you're sitting somewhere over there.
Thank you for being here, all the Medtronic folks.
Yeah. So again, you know, I think it's something that you have to recognize. You're going in for the long haul when you do this. It's a learning, it's a journey, it's transformative, it's new, it's bold.
We are in it with you. We don't need to go on vacation together, but we're in it together.
That's good.
With you, and we are here to help you.
Stage on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is good.
Well, I know, just in wrapping up, just so amazing what your company is doing for the world, saving lives. but this is also deeply personal for you in terms of the impact. You're passionate about women in technology. You're passionate about the impact in community. Talk a little bit about that, because I think it's a good way to inspirationally end our conversation.
Yeah, so women in technology, I started in this field 30 years ago, and I was in the Air Force, so Air Force vet. Yeah. And so being a role model, being an example, doing things like this and encouraging young women to pursue careers in technology, very, very important to me, a big passion. The second part of this is that Medtronic is a very philanthropic company, very devoted, committed to community. And for me, something that's important for a company is to be that philanthropy example. Last year, they donated 2% of pre-tax profits, $114 million, to local charities. I benefit from that, not personally, but I have a foundation, the Philip G. Sember Prostate Cancer Research Fund, which recognizes and supports research scholars at the University of Minnesota. And with their employee match program, I've been able to raise $1 million in the last 5 years. So thank you, Medtronic Foundation.
That's great. Well, Karine, I'm going to share this story with my daughter, Sophia. I'm hoping she'll be inspired by role models like you. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Karine Sember. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Karine, and what a great story. You know, what I'd like to do now is just dig in, right, to one of the underlying technologies inside of both private and public cloud. Let's talk about networking. You know, clearly at the heart of everything we're doing now at VMware is networking, NSX, network virtualization. And NSX is becoming this connective tissue that ties everything together. You know, clearly it's become central to what we're doing with private clouds and our mobile and desktop environment. Today, with what we've announced with our VMware Cloud Services, our partnership with Amazon, we're stretching NSX into the public cloud as well, and it's becoming a key way that we connect between those two worlds in a consistent way. You know, tomorrow, if I can just give you a little teaser, we'll talk about how we're stretching it into native, container, and new app frameworks as well. We're also extending NSX to be a connective tissue to IoT and branch, allowing consistent network and security models. We're also bringing it into the core telco networks as well. Then you're seeing that NSX is becoming the secret sauce behind most everything that we do. And you know, maybe what vSphere was to the first 20 years of VMware, NSX is becoming to the next decade or two. It's that important. And if you're not using it today, you're already behind. We see this as so powerful and transformational as a key component of what we do. You know, and today we're excited to have the largest food service distributor in the world, Cisco, with us to talk about their journey as well. Not to be confused with that other Cisco with a similar name. You know, please join me in welcoming Cisco.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. We're talking with the real Cisco about networking. Matt Nikolaev, Senior Director of Cloud Infrastructure. Glad you guys found that funny. But, you know, you guys are an incredible brand, and I've asked all of the companies to bring their prop, and, you know, tell us about this little prop here.
Sure. So this is a much smaller version of the trucks that we have out on the road across the world, and about 16,000 of these on the road in North America alone, and they deliver around 5 million cases of food a day to our customers.
I see a slightly bigger version of this when I drive to work at VMware, and love those trucks, love your brand, love all you're doing. Matt, you've been a pioneer in a lot of what Cisco is doing with some of the things we talked about earlier. AirWatch, Workspace ONE, public cloud, AWS. We'll talk about that in a second. But NSX for you has been transformational. You were early in adopting this.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about why that was so important to you.
Sure. So at Cisco, I mean, we're a what a lot of people would consider a very traditional industry. I mean, we move food from one place to another. We do it very efficiently. We're the best in the world at that. But like many industries, we're seeing a lot of opportunities for technology to disrupt our industry. So to get to where we want to be, to serve our customers as well as we do today in the future, we realize that there's a need for disruption. We need to do things more quickly. We need to have greater agility in everything we do. And a part of that is infrastructure. And so we went after the servers first. There was a lot of opportunities. We worked with VMware on that. And now, after that, we went after the network, which is really saying we can't bottleneck getting what our customers need at any point in our infrastructure. And NSX has been fantastic at accelerating our ability to provision networks, at securing our networks. Microsegmentation is something that we are deploying today. We are putting it against some of our most sensitive workloads, being able to ring fence those from the rest of our data center. And then also the combination of what we're doing is we're rolling out Workspace ONE today and being able to take individual users and use the per app VPN tunnel from a Workspace ONE managed device into that segmented workload. It's amazing. It's technology we're very, very excited about.
So you've got NSX and its use case around microsegmentation around the data center, transformative, but you also were able to connect it into the end user landscape. And it's a key technology to what we'd also see in the public cloud. So as you think about all three of those landscapes, data center, end user, and public cloud, NSX is critical.
Absolutely. I mean, we see the challenge of, and we're a multi-cloud company, and the challenge of managing different clouds in different ways, I mean, be it daily operations, whether it's costs, networking in particular, having to go to different tool sets and different management planes for every section of your network as for applications that span multiple clouds is incredibly challenging. And the opportunity to start using NSX in a multi-cloud manner is very exciting to us.
Awesome. And Matt, you were telling me during the break that in the early usage of VMware Cloud and AWS, because you're starting to pilot it, you were able to spin up a data center in like literally, a couple of hours?
No, it's so, I mean, my background is engineering, so I'm someone I like to tinker even though I'm in a leadership role now. And I got the credentials to our Lighthouse environment and
for VMware Cloud.
For VMware Cloud on AWS. And I sat down around lunchtime and logged in, and I just played around with it during, during meetings, between meetings in the afternoon, and I was able to build a data center. I was able to build networks. I was able to open firewalls, assign public IPs, and build a web server out on the internet in about 4 hours.
All while you were doing other meetings?
All while I was doing other meetings. And
incredible. Wow, that's quite something to talk about. And we're hoping it gets even easier and faster, and you can take your lunch breaks, coffee breaks.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's good stuff. Let's talk a little bit about the future. One of the things I've appreciated about your IT leadership from Wayne to Frank to you is the movement agile. I mean, to think about a logistics distribution company, agile is key. But where are you taking this notion of agile as you think about the future?
Absolutely. So we're undergoing a complete transformation in the way we do technology. As a starter, even when our CIO, Wayne, came in, he rebranded the entire organization Business Technology because technology exists to support the business, not for the sake of itself. But we are currently transforming into product teams, so every part of technology gets a product they're focused on. We're doing a lot of work in breaking apart our systems and our applications from monoliths into microservices, connecting things with APIs. It's a really exciting time to be in technology at Cisco, and just to see that as we make these changes, how much more value we can bring to our business and our customers with a lot of speed.
So the ideas of microservices, containers, all in your active look at where you will be headed.
Absolutely. I mean, today we're doing containers on our new applications with CI/CD pipelines, and we're starting to go after our legacy applications and breaking them up and applying the same principles.
So small plug, stay tuned. Many of you tomorrow, we're going to talk a lot more about containers and microservices and so on and so forth. And I think, Matt, you'll like what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Nikolaev.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, I think Matt just threw the gauntlet down for all of us techie kind of folks. Spin up a data center on your lunch break. Let's dive into now what may be the most important topic of them all, security. And when we think about security, it's really sort of a simple assignment: protect the apps and data. And how do you do that in an increasingly mobile and cloud and connected world where the attack vectors become more and more diverse and the target becomes richer, right, and more promising? How do you approach that? And as we think about that picture, look at this. This is the security industry. Isn't that just incredible? Right? Think about the complexity, right, of all of the products and services that industry has. Over $100 billion a year is being spent on security, and the cost of breaches is even greater and growing even faster. And in that incredible complexity, your job as IT leader is to make it all work. Fundamentally, we, the tech industry, have failed you, the customer. It is simply too hard, too complex, and breaches are growing far too fast. We need a new approach. And fundamentally at VMware, we believe that there's three parts to this strategy that we need to do to restructure the solution and the industry. First, secure infrastructure, where literally we need to build it in, architect it in. We need many of those components to go away. They have to become native capabilities of the infrastructure itself. Second, we need to deeply architect in with the ecosystem, the controls, the context, the automation, the validation, the solution, and work with key players like Palo Alto, SecureWorks, Symantec, and again, make many of those solutions standardize and go away. And finally, we got to return to the basics. This is like a great sports team. And a great sports team practices the basics over and over again and gets really, really good at it. Every major breach over the last 5 years that's made headlines, Sony and OPM and Target, would have been dramatically reduced or entirely eliminated if simple cyber hygiene policies were followed. And we believe those cyber hygiene policies are really pretty straightforward. We see that these 5 things, right, just like a sports team, if we were doing these, we would be so much better. One is least privilege. Unless you explicitly have access, you don't. Second, microsegmentation. Carve up the network. It's like getting to the bank and just getting in the front lobby, you've gotten nowhere. You've got many layers to get to the good stuff. Encryption. When you steal my data, you've just gotten a bag of bits if you don't have the key to go with it. Multi-factor. You phish my password, you got nothing unless you have that second or third of my multi-factor. And patching, WannaCry and Petya. And these, what we'll call cyber hygiene principles, we're releasing a white paper today, the simple principles of cyber hygiene. And to us, these are critical things that we got to, as an industry, get back to the basic, and we need to make the basics easy to do. And this is a matter that is central to tech and to business, but also a role for government and policy. And we're thrilled to see a bipartisan effort coming together to drive at the government level and into industry. And let's hear now from Representative Eshoo and Senator Hatch on the topic of cyber hygiene.
Hello, VMworld. I'm Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah.
Hello, VMworld. My name is Anna Eshoo.
With cyber hackers growing bolder in their attacks, strengthening our cybersecurity infrastructure remains among my top priorities.
We know that the cyber networks of our country, of our government, how important they are to our national security. VMware was very, very essential in an effort that happily has been launched in the Congress.
I recently joined my good friend Congresswoman Anna Eshoo in introducing the bipartisan Promoting Good Cyber Hygiene Act.
Up to 90% of breaches are due to the lack of hygiene systems and good security management.
Fortunately, there are a few key principles that can help prevent many of these cyber attacks.
We're all in this together, and we can all benefit from this together as well. That's the most exciting part of it.
I look forward to continuing to work with my colleagues in Congress and with all of you.
So thank you to Representative and Senator Hatch. So let's dig in a little bit more on this idea of secure infrastructure. And we've been on a journey for several years to build more of these components into what we do. With Workspace ONE, secure apps, right, secure, and with AirWatch, secure devices, and the two of those bringing together a consistent device and application across any corporate or BYO device. In the network, the number one use case for NSX has been microsegmentation, this ability to compartmentalize and segregate networks. Encryption has traditionally been hard, difficult, and expensive. Now with vSAN, it's simple and cost-effective. And finally, compute. Now, we've never really used that compute layer as a security layer before. Today, that changes. And most of security is about what we'll call chasing bad. And if we think about a compute stack, you typically have an operating environment, and in that operating environment, you have an operating system, a number of processes are running, and the typical application is made of many of these. And the security process is chasing bad. It's trying to find amongst these millions or billions of things going on that little piece of bad. Now, that is really hard. But can't we think about doing that a different way? Maybe ensuring good. And in fact, chasing bad is like a needle in a haystack. There's a whole lot of hay to crawl through. Ensuring good is getting rid of most of the hay and just having a few straws to go look at. Literally flipping the security model on its head. And that's exactly what App Defense is. App Defense allows us to capture good. Right, and we do that by first the provisioning environment, vRealize, Puppet, being able to say this is the intended application. Combining that with machine learning, the VM learns itself and develops a manifest for its own operation. Then a network service and APIs that allow, right, for network effects to be benefiting and from other parties to build on this. Second, real-time detection. The VM itself begins monitoring its behavior, and it can immediately detect when its behavior deviates from good. It is never okay to write the master boot record of your OS image, right? We tested this with Petya and WannaCry, and immediately the flags went off. And finally, we can automate response. With App Defense, we can immediately trigger behaviors. We can go into full packet capture. We can honeypot services. We can stop VMs. We can issue alerts. It really is game-changing to ensure good. And while it's early, and we just began shipping this month, extraordinary interest from the ecosystem of partners to work with. A lot of enthusiasm for this game-changing approach. And we're excited today to have with us Mark from IBM to tell us about their embrace of App Defense. Mark, please join me on stage.
How you doing, man?
Hey, Mark.
Good to see you.
Thank you for joining us. It's
great to be here. Wow.
Yeah, this is really great. The energy is just wonderful. And, IBM, you guys are known for a lot of things, a tremendous history, but security. I don't think people realize how big and powerful in security you are.
Yeah, so I looked at that same image that you showed a few slides back. About 6 years ago, we looked at all that fragmented security marketplace, all those vendors, and decided to build a business at IBM based on analytics. So a lot of huge firewall companies, a lot of huge antivirus companies. We wanted to do something different, right up IBM's alley, based on analytics. And we built a business, and today I have the honor of leading that. Like you do VMware, I lead this business. It's a huge honor. 8,000 employees around the world, $2 billion in revenue, and we've become one of the largest enterprise players in the world. And actually, I was crammed into a JetBlue on the way here yesterday, stuffed with, I think, almost all 20,000 people in this arena.
Really? They fit all in that one plane?
Yeah, it was
amazing.
Packed, but we got through it. I was sitting next to a couple of really friendly customers of yours, Andy and Paul. And Paul was a user of a bunch of my capability, QRadar, BigFix, a bunch of other capability or solution. And I kind of, by the end of a long flight, he kind of talked a little bit about what we're announcing today, and he's super excited because this really is a match made in heaven. So our customers are going to be excited about this.
Good. Well, to go a little bit further there, tell us, what do you think about the VMware strategy that you just heard me articulate, and App Defense as a new capability?
Well, I'm very excited. The VMware strategy, first of all, obviously fits very well with where IBM's headed, both for IBM Cloud and I'm representing IBM Security. And I'm excited about it, and probably more credibly for all of you, a lot of the geekiest people on my security team are really excited about app defense, right? So it does what you say, right? It reduces the attack surface immensely through how it locks down the system, all those hygiene elements that you mentioned. From my perspective as a security analytics provider with thousands of customers using products like QRadar in their security operations centers, it takes VM information from a security perspective from like a grainy, almost still film to high-res live feed. So it is a deep analytics behavioral engine that you guys are adding on top of your VMs that's providing me as a security company lots of data that I can do stuff with. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, that's so good to hear, and obviously many of the analytics and Watson capabilities that IBM is investing in so heavily. So talk a little bit about how we're going to bring this to market together.
Yep, so today we're announcing a partnership in this area, and we are collaborating on an application. And what that's going to do is that application is going to bridge between app defense and our security operations and analytics technology. So QRadar and Watson for Cyber, our resilient response and orchestration technology. So we're making this app. It'll be done by the end of the year. And that will take all of the information, that visibility that App Defense now provides. It'll bring it into the Security Operations Center, and it'll start to combine it with all that we know about the rest of the environment. It'll give context. It'll give more analysis. And it'll give action. And actually, today in the showroom here at the conference, we are showing what we can do here, and we can literally go from finding that kind of incident like Petya and WannaCry to actually quarantine and taking action on the VM. So it's a very powerful way of going from analytics context to orchestrating an action and defending better.
Well, Mark, it's great to have the opportunity to just tell our audience a little bit more about what IBM is doing in security and our partnership. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here. Take care.
Changing security, turning the problem around, restructuring the industry, powerful, powerful things. And the comprehensive view of security, right? Enabling secure infrastructure, deeply integrated ecosystem, and doing the simple things really consistently and well with cyber hygiene. In our first spotlight session right after this, keynote time, Tom Korn will be giving a live demonstration of App Defense in operation. We'll have a live attack and a live response using App Defense, and really encourage you to go see that session. It really is exciting about how this turns security on its head. It's been a tremendous few years together. Think about the progress that we have made together. It really is thrilling to see this any device, any application world now being delivered through any cloud environment and stretching that to be even more pervasive. What we do as an industry is reaching into the core infrastructure of the network, out to the edge and reaching more machine-connected devices than ever before. Transformation before our very eyes. Our agenda is to continue to innovate, to continue to drive, continue to envision the future so that you can realize business transformation and that you personally can realize your full potential as well. Together, we can realize what's possible. We're excited to share an example of how all this technology and innovation is brought together to bear fruit, not just in technical or business terms, but how we serve communities and save people's lives. It's my pleasure to have Red Cross here with us on stage. Let's join us and see Red Cross right now.
There's nothing more gratifying than being able to help other people. Really, I think that's what we're meant to do on this earth. When you're out and you're helping people, and you drive through the neighborhood, you see all of their belongings stacked up on the edge of the street. You don't judge them, you don't pick and choose, you take them as you find them and you help them.
There's always going to be somewhere to go because the Red Cross is here.
They show up out of nowhere, the Red Cross. I don't know how they do it. When they show up, there's cots, there's beds, there's blankets, there's food, there's water, there's stuff, all this stuff that will take care of people right here, right now, right on the spot.
If it wasn't for the Red Cross, we wouldn't have a place to go. We wouldn't have the help. These people made us feel so welcome. It was a blessing.
The Red Cross to me means someone that actually will listen to my story and care that someone like me is out there and offered the help that y'all have offered.
Well, after that poignant video, Dave, I don't even know how to start, but what an impact the American Red Cross is having on the world. We think of Hurricane Harvey. Maybe we'll start there.
Yeah.
You know, this is a time where we want to be thinking about how we can help. You guys have been having a tremendous impact. We start with Hurricane Harvey. How is American Red Cross helping the world right now?
Sure. So as of right now, I think we have about 34 shelters open. As of Saturday, we had 3,000 people in the shelters, and they're expecting up to 30,000. So we have a lot of resources on the ground there in Texas and Louisiana right now. Certainly for a lot of people, the worst is yet to come. So as we're all dry and very warm here in Vegas, it's really hard to imagine the reality of some of these folks that are impacted by Harvey right now, and will be for months and years to come. So the Red Cross will be there doing casework for people affected for months and years to come after everybody's cleaned up and gone home.
That's great. Thank you for the impact you're having. Many of you are involved as volunteers. Your force actually is not just employees, but you have a number of volunteers. Give us a sense of the scale of your operation, both employees and volunteers.
20,000 employees roughly, and over 300,000 volunteers help to deliver the mission of the Red Cross.
That's amazing. Can we give anybody of you who are volunteers a hand? Thank you. We appreciate your service. It's a fantastic organization. And in that landscape, when you think about your end user landscape, you were an early adopter of vSphere, and then an early adopter of Fusion and Workstation, adopted VDI, and then AirWatch. Talk to us about, in this both employee and contract workforce, why that end user landscape was very important to you.
Sure. Well, we're a mobile organization, case in point with what's going on in Texas and Louisiana right now, and flooding in Kansas and Missouri, and wildfires in Oregon. So we're really a mobile organization, but our technology got behind, so we weren't as mobile as we wanted to be. So the acquisition of these technologies has helped us both on a mobility standpoint and also help pave the way for us to deliver new modern technology, whether it's hardware or whether it's software, whether Windows 10, new browsers, applications, but still allow us to align to the legacy line of business applications that aren't yet as modern.
And you see a world where whether it's the employees or these contractors, they'll be able to get any app on their particular device.
It's a little cliche, but it's really real for us. Any device, anywhere, and that's what we've been able to do, and that's what we're still working towards.
And literally anywhere means like anywhere in the world.
Anywhere you can get internet.
That's awesome. That's great. It's amazing. It's been a partnership. I talked about that with the other customers too. How has that partnership worked out between VMware and the American Red Cross?
Very well. We've had a good partnership. It's continuing to grow. We've got great support from your organization all the way down.
That's awesome. Great to hear. Maybe as we close, it'd be good to give the audience here a sense as to how many of them may be interested in helping.
Sure.
How can the audience get involved in helping, especially in this time around Hurricane Harvey?
Well, as Pat said earlier, certainly donations are always go directly towards helping the victims. But there's other ways, right? You can give your time. In 2014, we started a home fire campaign. So in your local community, and since 2014, we've installed almost 1 million smoke alarms and saved 268 lives as a result. So if you want to give of your time, if you want to give blood, as I do, you can do that. So it's not just dollars. You can give blood, you can give time and experience. And the best way to do that is go to either your local chapter, if you know where it is, or go to redcross.org, find out where your local chapter is, or other ways to get involved.
I've donated blood before. I'm going to do it again. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dave Bowmore. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Take care. Great. All right. Well, VMworld, are you guys having fun in this keynote? All right. Pat, I think you and I can do a better job than Wolf Blitzer and Anderson Cooper. So we got a future in this wonderful show. What I'd like to do as we wrap up is just give you a sense as to what you're going to be seeing over the course of the next couple of days and why we picked some of these tracks. Because as we looked at much of the way in which you're spending your dollars, we follow CIO surveys very rigorously, we see hundreds of priorities, and we boiled out from those hundreds of priorities 8 that are some core areas that you're spending on. Typically, cloud computing and security stands out among the top 2. You'll see other areas like digital transformation and mobile. And then we honed in further to have the entire focus of our company around what we feel are 3 core priorities in infrastructure spending: cloud, mobile, and security. And that's what you've heard through the course of the keynote today from Pat. And mobile, by the way, doesn't mean just a mobile device. It means being on the move. Cloud doesn't mean just public cloud. It means private cloud and public cloud. And that's in essence what we've done with even the story of VMware. When you think about our story, we redefined the data center, but we see that moving to the cloud. We redefined the desktop, and we see that moving increasingly mobile. And security is a layer that surrounds all of it from the data center to the endpoint. This one chart, by the way, is what I encourage all of my sales reps in the field to show rather than 100 PowerPoints. I usually tell people if you've got 100 PowerPoints, there's usually no power and probably very little point to it. But this one chart gives you the sense of what VMware's transformational impact is across cloud, mobile, and security. Now, if you take that cloud area, what you're going to see in the breakouts are 2 subtracks. Modernizing the data center is all about the private cloud and ensuring you can get more and more cost and complexity run out of that, because the private cloud does have a future, as you saw from many of our customers. Integrating the public cloud. Andy Jassy and Pat talked about VMware and AWS, a pioneering offering, one of a kind in the industry. You're going to hear more about that in that track. And then in the mobile area, it's all about a digital workspace. You heard so eloquently from customers like Capital One, any app on any device. And finally, we think through the power of NSX and app defense, you can fundamentally transform networking and security. One of the other things that's super exciting to us has been the level of involvement of you customers. There's like 25,000 odd that we think will be here or watching in. And there's 200 customers, a record number, that are presenting in tracks in here. So if you are one of those customers presenting, I want to give you a hand. Can we give the customers who are presenting these breakouts a hand? Here are 200 of you. And if you're feeling jealous of these folks who are presenting, we want more of you, like twice the number next year. This is a record for any show to have 200 of you doing this. We have just a whole bunch of them that are doing many aspects of this. We think that as you do this, these were just snap photos of many of you as you're preparing for this. We think we can help you realize what's possible. Now, a quick plug before I wrap up for what's happening tomorrow. Super important, we're going to have a fireside chat with our chairman, Michael Dell, and our CEO, Pat Gelsinger. And many of you have questions in your mind. So if you log into the mobile app, you can submit your question. There's a very simple way. You'll get an alert all the way up to midnight tonight. And we actually have a very special secret announcement we're also going to be making tomorrow, which you don't want to miss. So don't stay out too late and miss tomorrow. You want to be here. It's going to be some incredible news. And with that, I want to wish you all an incredible conference. The theme is helping every one of you realize what's possible. Thank you very much. Have a great VMworld.